Hello YouTube fans, here again. And I thought I saw one of my favourite DVDs. I remember doing one the other day, being the 18. Why not this one? From my favourite comedy star, Paul Walden, in the film that launched his career. Now you may or may not know this, but everybody does know this. Paul Walden made it big anyway in the comedy show The Paul Walden Show. If you remember the Paul Walden Show. So, thought that's some shot in my face. So at the time, the Paul Walden show was big, you know what I mean? It was making money. It lasted into 1979 to 1984. He did well-known Danish ads, and even though you wouldn't get away with it nowadays, cigarette ads. But Paul Walden made it big in 1986 with the classic comedy Crocodile Dundee. I'll probably talk about the movie on the way, but I'm more or less going to talk about the cover of this. I love the cover, the artwork. The artwork is just beautiful. Look at that. Made to feel like a crocodile. I like the fact that they're faithful to the two original art covers of Crocodile Dundee 1 and 2. So in 1986, as we know, Crocodile Dundee became a smash hit and Paul Walden became a star from the mid-80s to the late 80s and so on. Sadly, his career sort of faded after the Crocodile Dundee films. He did a lot of well-known films like Lightning Tark and so on, but wasn't as popular as Crocodile Dundee. But I do love Crocodile Dundee. It's a love story, it's sort of an adventure, it's a comedy, and it's everything I love. So in 1986, Crocodile Dundee made it big. Say it again. Made it big. It made it so big that 2 years after, they made Crocodile Dundee 2. I look at the second one as being more of a comedy, but more of an adventure film. I mean, I like it. It's a guy, he's down under, he's Australian, and in the original, he goes to New York and things, you know, you go to the big city, things are going to be different, you know, different ways of speech, different humour, different everything, and, you know, he feels like an outsider, and he falls in love with a reporter. In Crocodile Dundee 2, different type of gnome. It's more of an adventure film, has action in it, it still has comedy but in leopard, and I like it. I also like the way the cover is. The only thing with the cover is it can be a pain in the arse to open. I mean, it could be a fucking pain to open. I remember being a pain in the arse. There's a way to open it, but you can open it as 2 sides. But I love the way it's patterned. I like the artwork. My only issue is, right, the original Crocodile Dundee, you get a trailer. Wow, how exciting. You get a fucking trailer. I can go on YouTube right now, type in Crocodile Dundee original trailer with the year 1986. It'll have loads of trailers, even TV spots. They'll probably be making back in the day. They'll probably be, I'm sure, because Paul Walden loved doing this film, there'd probably even be a fucking biography of this film somewhere, or even interviews, you know what I mean? Because it was a big hit film. In 1986, this was a big hit film, and even launched a sequel, it was also a big hit film. But saying that, I did Crocodile Dundee 2, it's due. You do get an original trailer, and not only do you get an original trailer, but you will also get an original making back in the day. There's original making back in the day of Crocodile Dundee 2. I don't like it. I mean, I even like the humour of the original one. That's not a knife. That's a knife. I do love that. I even like the humour that was used in the second Crocodile Dundee film. So it's a dudding, you know, it's a dudding, and it wasn't a bad price. I remember getting it back in the day, back in Hyde. I remember went there. I used to love going to Hyde. I used to love getting DVDs. So I don't like this, you know what I mean? It's Paul Walden at his best. I mean, I'll give you a good history of Paul Walden. I used to love the Paul Walden show. When I used to watch the Paul Walden show and they did reruns back on Channel 4 when TV was worth a shit, I used to love watching the Paul Walden show. You know what I mean? I used to love the humour. To me, the Paul Walden show, in my eyes, was like watching the Penny Hill show. Remember Penny Hill? Very funny man in his day, before ITV shits on him. And it also had that Penny Hill sort of humour, but not too in your face. You know, the cheeky chap sort of humour. She's a beautiful bird. Gonna get rid of that word now. Okay, a beautiful woman, so particularly correct. and he slaps a woman and the woman slaps him in the face, you know, that sort of humour, the bald head man humour, the overweight man humour, that sort of humour. But that's what I like about Paul Holden in this. He was funny. He was funny. And again, I like the original one. It's a love story. You know what I mean? I do remember that when they worked to death on the one based the reporter. They got married not long after Crocodile Dundee won. But I also like the second one. I always loved the look of it, where the girls got around around him. He was bitter in life. I also remember the second one where he's got to die and he's going to commit suicide, and Paul Holden is trying to talk sense into him, and he says, I really loved him. And he realises he's a die who likes to die, and he almost falls off a building. Now, I do remember a friend of mine, right, in the shop where I work, being adults, and a few weeks ago I had a laugh. He had some boots on, and he knows my sort of humour. He knows I'm riding him up, and he had these boots on, and I say, you look like Crocodile Dundee. So I do admit, I had a few laughs there on the way. But yeah, I just love the artwork of this. So I just thought I'd show people my favourite DVD. It's a good comedy back in the 80s. A lot of people know it. It's Do Remember the Day. It's been on TV loads of times. Now, the only issue I had though with the original one is there's a bit where a guy swears. Now, later on in the film, I know it was cut originally, they beat it a bit, where he says, you're just a guy who don't like fucking bad language in front of a lady. But halfway through the film, there's a scene in it where he does swear, but it sounds like it's dubbed out, and I never did get why they did that. But I heard rumours that they tried to keep it a lot milder, and he swore and all that. You do get one actor in it, and you might remember him in Braden Die Hard. The one who was playing the friends of Tom McCain, who was in the original Crocodile Dundee. I like the look of him. You know, he wears a leather jacket. He's down to earth. He tries to act bigger than life itself. He's trying to act like another Indiana Jones, and you know he isn't another Indiana Jones. But I like the fact that he follows a knife. I love a bit like the comedy line. This ain't a knife. That's a knife. I love that humour. I love the humour. He's trying to talk the guy down, and he realises that he's talking about another guy. And you know, I always love to see where he's in. I think it's in this party, and he took this guy dressed up as a woman, and they're all laughing because they know that. He says, mate, he's a fella. And then halfway through the film, he tries to top a feel, only this time it really is a woman. I thought that was that a laughable bit. I mean, there's a lot of good humour in it. But everybody knows Crocodile Dundee 1 and 2. I like them both. I mean, I like the second one. I look at the second one as being more of a comedy, more of an adventure film. And I look at the second one, I look at the second one, I say again, like an adventure, like a comedy film with adventure in it. And I look at the original one as sort of like a romantic love story, bit of an adventure, but more of a comedy. I mean, I like the characters in it. Odd characters, and that's something you don't see nowadays in films. Even comedies nowadays suck ass. I say it again, they suck fucking assholes. But this, on the other hand, this didn't suck ass. It was a bidded film in the late 80s, well, mid 80s to the late 80s. They did do a third one. What was it? Crocodile Dundee Lost in Los Angeles. Sad to say it wasn't as successful as 1 and 2. I don't mind it, so if I've ever got it, it wouldn't be a rant, but I just think it was a bit of a letdown compared to these two. I always like Paul Holden, still like him today. I feel bad because he's having a lot of issues lately with what's going on in Australia, and Australia don't want him to come back to Aussie, do his taxes and stuff like that. I'm not going to get into that, it's too predictable at this time, but even though I do like to talk politics. But nevertheless, this is the Paul Holden I miss. He was brilliant in that era. This is the film in my eyes that launched him. Bid it in that era. I love it. I love the artwork. I don't know if you can see it, but it's like made out of crocodile skin. I thought I loved the feel of this takes. So I love it. But into them people, if there's any DVDs you're like interested in me talking about, let me know. Into them. Be smart. Be safe. And I'll see you later.